Hello and welcome back to Kicks and Giggles with me, Alicia Owens. Thank you guys for waiting on me while I took a little break and finished my summer semester. I had a lot of work to do all at once and also a lot of soccer to watch, so I am excited to get into this episode today. I will be breaking down how my bracket, broke down because my predictions were really solid until they weren't anymore. So we have the final of the MLS's back tournament tonight between, wait for it, Orlando City, of all teams, and the Portland Timbers. We'll talk about that match in a little bit, but first I want to review some of the things that led us to this moment, because I feel like everyone was surprised by Orlando, but Portland kind of makes sense. They've been closer to trophies in the past than Orlando City has been. Like the Timbers, I remember, made it to the MLS Cup in 2018 and were defeated by Atlanta United, humble brag. So will they be taken down by another Southern team tonight, or will they step it up and bring a trophy home for the West Coast? I'm getting ahead of myself though. Tons of matches have been played since we last spoke, so let's go over some of the most exciting moments. I don't know about y'all, but I had a lot of fun watching FC Cincinnati the past few weeks. I say Cincy because no one ever expects much from them, and they finally had us changing our tune, because I don't think many people had them coming out of the group stage. But they made it to the round of 16, and sadly didn't get much further because they did play pretty poorly against the Timbers, but it's always fun to see an unassuming team perform the way Cincy did in the early stages of this tournament. I thought it would be very quintessentially MLS if they made it super far in the next few rounds, so I sadly had them going pretty far in my bracket. That was my first mistake. My other mistake was thinking that the chaotic energy of San Jose could carry them into the semifinals. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching them just offend some of the teams in this tournament, first with their 4-3 comeback against Vancouver, and then that incredible use of the cooling spray as a celebratory smoke bomb, and then they continued to impress, beating Chicago pretty easily, and then they ruined RSL's night by winning 5-2 thanks to their wonder boy Wondolowski. I loved watching their games when he came on as a sub, because everyone knew he was coming on to score. The announcers knew it, and they were all but counting down until he made contact with the back of the net, and then the opposing team knew it because they'd scramble to defend against him with some pretty poor results on their part. But speaking of poor results, San Jose's quarterfinal match against Minnesota was kinda sad. They really underperformed and just let Minnesota take advantage of all the mistakes they made, so trusting San Jose with the fate of my bracket was mistake number 2. And now, the mistake that has me the most upset is the fact that I had Philadelphia going all the way, like winning everything all the way. I think they were one of the strongest teams in this whole crazy restart project, and they were thirsty for their first trophy in club history. I wanted them to win because they're a good team, but I think they're the ones that truly deserve the title of underdog in this tournament. People really love giving that to teams like Minnesota and Orlando, but if you're having that conversation, you need to mention Philly as well. The two teams, Minnesota and Philly, they had a similar run during the last few rounds, and each team made it to the semifinals with a lot of odds against them. They both eventually lost, Minnesota playing their most lukewarm game until Orlando and Nani had some pretty amazing goals, and then Philadelphia lost to Portland in a bit of a controversial result, since Philly had a goal that was disallowed that could have taken them into penalties. I know, as a casual fan of both teams, watching that game and seeing Philly so close to making a comeback right at the end, that was the closest I've felt to how I usually feel when I watch Atlanta United score a goal. I was engaged, I was excited, and I was shouting at the TV, something that I only do when I feel it's totally necessary. And I think in that moment it was pretty necessary. I'm no offsides expert, but I don't think the decision we were shown really proved that it was clear and obvious, so Philly, in my opinion, definitely deserved that goal. At the end of the day, I think I can blame VAR for my bracket falling apart and not my poor judgment, so thank you for that, at least, I guess. One thing I did have right from the start, though, was Orlando making it to the final, and I'm shocked I said that without vomiting, because Orlando is just a team I don't like watching or talking about, ever. But they've made me pay attention in this tournament. Their unnatural home field advantage, with their stadium being less than 30 miles away, has made this kind of their game. They've really been running this game all throughout the group stage and into the final rounds, and Nani might even be up for MVP of this tournament, which I think is totally deserved because some of his goals have just been disgustingly good. I had them going to the final in my bracket specifically because I thought it would be really funny and near impossible if they beat LAFC, which they did in penalties, which just makes this all the more wild and fun. LA looked really messy in that game, and they went way long without scoring a goal. They're usually a brutal attacking team, scoring the first goal within a few minutes of the match starting, but they got their first and only goal of the night 31 minutes in, off of what looked like a very common Orlando mistake, which is players being in the wrong place. Seriously, I don't know Orlando as a team that can fill gaps and defend well, just based on what I've seen them do in the past. So watching their keeper miss the shot while two defenders couldn't get Bradley Wright Phillips out of there just all seemed very on brand for Orlando. It felt like a normal year for just a fleeting moment. But then they scored in the 90th minute to send it to penalties, and that's when I knew this tournament was theirs. So I guess that means I have them winning it all tonight. I am interested to see how they'll set up against the Timbers, and I have high hopes for a good game, or at least a silly one at best. I know both teams have good goal scorers that they can depend on, Orlando with Nani and Portland with Abobasi, and they each have solid benches to choose from when they need to switch things up, but neither team does really well in finals, so it's anybody's game. The last couple matches in this tournament were overall kind of boring, so I hope we at least have something fun to watch tonight. I think each team has put a lot of work into this tournament, and it's impressive that they've both done so well under these circumstances, regardless of past performance. Making it to a final, in the middle of a pandemic, and in a field of play that you're not quite used to is a big accomplishment, and I wish them both the best. But I would love to see Orlando win by like 10 goals or something crazy like that. Honestly, who knows if this was me breaking down my bracket or just trying my best to jinx Orlando before the biggest game of their lives tonight, but I wanted to take some time and reflect on my choices and all of the wild games I've seen while watching this tournament. I'll be sad to see it go, especially since the next step in the MLS season doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do right now. So, whatever happens, I will cherish this past month of soccer, and I will be back soon with some ideas about the rest of the season for Atlanta United and beyond. Remember, we still need a coach, so we have a lot to discuss in the next few episodes. As always, thank you for listening. Please make sure you like and subscribe and follow me on my socials to get updates about the next episode. This has been Kicks and Giggles with Alicia Owens, and I'll talk to you guys later.